But since the question of woman is up in the air, everyone's arguing over what it means these days. Do you have, either you yourself or you speaking for the progressives, do you have a working definition that you would use?
No, I don't do, like I told Jesse Lee Peterson, and there's so many, this interview is feeling a lot like that one, interestingly enough. I don't do dictionary, I do politics. And so, no, I don't spend time defining words. And
check out the big brain on fucking Pakman here. The fucking galaxy. This is way, woman, man, come on. I do politics. I'm the smart one here.
Yes.
How can you separate the definition of man and woman from politics right now? This guy looks like a moron.
What a fucking dumb I cannot honestly fathom if David Pakman is so fucking stupid that he understood how dumb what he said is, or he's just acting in such bad faith that he's created some weird rhetoric he thinks sounds smart. Okay? What is Sitch's #1 law?
Yeah. Sitch's
the
law.
Majority of debates
are over definitions.
You know it or not, are debates about how to define words.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Sitch's law, #1, right at the top of the
Yep.
Sitch Constitution, the Sitch Bill of Rights.
Yep.
So David Pakman and Michael Knowles are going to talk, and it's very disheartening because I don't really like Michael Knowles. I'm not a Michael Knowles fan, but he's obviously approaching this conversation in a courteous, professional way. And Dave Pakman is like, he chose violence. He comes at this in such a bad faith. Like, I don't know why. I don't think they've had any interaction before this. He comes at this in such a fuck you, bad faith way, and then he tries to duck out of the conversation like so quick, and it makes David look really bad.
Yeah, I
was shocked that David Pakman even uploaded it on his own channel.
I hate this norm on the left that if you just talk to someone, it means that you've accepted everything that they believe. Right. It's such bullshit. You can't even have a conversation with somebody.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's not even that. It's just like, if you want to work up to you being like an asshole to someone, unless you have some history with them, you have to like start being nice.
Yeah, of course.
Like there were things that Joe said that I was like, that's a little suspect, but I'm not gonna like fucking jump down his throat like our first fucking conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Or ever interact with him. Because once you do that, then the conversation is just it's been torpedoed and it can never go anywhere.
Immediately derailed. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
yeah, it takes a while to get to where you can really have deep, interesting dialogue. So Michael Knowles comes in good faith. He's ready to have an interesting dialogue, and David Pakman is worried that his fans are going to message him right after this and say, "Why were you sucking Michael Knowles' dick? What the fuck? You were totally nice to him."
I'm not gonna try to read David Pakman's mind.
Oh, you know it.
Motivation.
No, come on, you know that's what they're saying.
I don't know
that's exactly what they're saying.
I don't know if
don't you know Michael Knowles is a white supremacist? You didn't call him a white supremacist to his face. That's exactly what they're saying.
I don't know if Pakman's concern is that his fans are going to email him nasty things, or if it's just he just personally hates Michael Knowles.
Oh,
and he can't put that aside to have a conversation with
That's
him.
an interesting dynamic.
So
anyway, that's fascinating. Okay, let's do it.
But I am worried sometimes that we are not giving the best argument for the other side, or that we simply don't understand what the other side is saying. So in the interest of actually hearing out the other side, I'm very pleased to bring on David Pakman, who is the host of The David Pakman Show. It's a nationally syndicated progressive TV show and radio show. I'm always really grateful to progressives who come on this show. We invite lots of them on. Very often they say no. Sometimes they come on. So just to make sure we're not straw manning anything, let's bring on David. David, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's a unique pleasure to be here, Michael. Thank you.
So, David, you So
he just looks like he's being dishonest. I'm sorry.
Well, he looks super defensive. Who does, Michael or David?
David.
Yeah, David looks very uncomfortable and defensive.
He looks like a suicide bomber, man. He looks like he's got explosives under his jacket.
He's got him. Maybe this is the issue. Maybe he has explosives, okay, smuggled in his rectum, and they're very uncomfortable. So he's just sitting there. He's waiting. He's like, I gotta either set these explosives off, or I gotta dump. I gotta dump and run. And this is just, I can't do this middle ground stuff.
He's like, what? I have a bomb in my underwear. Just let me on the plane.
What is that weird picture behind him? I assume this is his house. Do you see that weird picture?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like he might be on vacation or something in the Hamptons.
Oh, or like he's in a hotel. I don't know. It looks almost like an artsy fartsy drawing of someone, like how to give someone the Heimlich maneuver or something. Like, what the fuck is that?
I don't know.
Very
the clip
strange.
you've been watching the.
Oh wait, I wanted to. Where are we? We're at 40. I just want to go back.
Did I interrupt something important?
Well, no. I was across the room, so I couldn't pause it.
I love
What is this?
Kendall Jackson
on African Hebrew Israel.
What?
Is there some controversy with Jackson on African Hebrew
Oh
Israelites?
no. Oh,
I need to find out what's going on here.
Holy crap. What's going on here?
Because everyone knows I have a special affinity in my heart for African Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah.
Considering they caused the Covington kid situation.
Are they doing melanin checks now in public schools or something?
I don't know. Well, I assume she ruled on something related to them.
Huh.
Or something.
Fascinating.
Does anyone know what this is in reference to?
Well, let's get back to the topic since.
Okay.
Let's watch this video. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll watch it. We'll jump back ahead. I was just
a
curious.
TV show clip you've.
So I like the fact that this is totally good faith on Michael Knowles' part. I don't want to straw man. I want to make sure I'm getting your arguments correctly. I know your whole entire job, David, is straw manning my arguments. So maybe you could do the same. It's kind of implied, right?
Someone says African American Hebrew Israelites and Black Hebrew Israelites are different. Oh, okay. Really?
Good to know.
I didn't know they were
been watching
different
the Ketanji Jackson hearings. Am I crazy?
Okay, so they are talking about the Ketanji?
Yes. I can never say her name. Jackson.
Or should a twice Harvard-educated nominee, federal judge, nominee for the Supreme Court, who is a woman, be able to define what a woman is?
I can't say if you're crazy. That would be for a mental health professional.
For my doctor.
You're either dishonest or ignorant. And
whoa, you weren't kidding. How far? We're 1 minute and 3 seconds.
The first word out of his mouth.
Am I crazy? Or should a twice Harvard-educated nominee, federal judge, nominee for the Supreme Court, who is a woman, be able to define what a woman is?
I can't say if you're crazy. That would be for a mental health professional.
For my doctor.
You're either dishonest or ignorant. And
he goes full Vosh in the first minute.
Damn.
Is David gunning for Vosh's position here? It's just like bomb thrower. I thought David was the non-bomb thrower, but I guess he's looking at Vosh's bank account and he's saying, well, maybe I need to throw a couple bombs here.
Well, there has been this very interesting evolution, which is that, I mean, Pakman used to be, I thought, like kind of trying to be a more straight-laced, by the book news commentator. I remember years ago where he did a stream with Sargon and someone, other third party, and it was kind of more like he was very neutral about things. He wasn't willing to accept, the dangers of left-wing cancel culture and all this shit in like 2017 or whenever they had this conversation. But yeah, I don't know. But it seems like he's become more like fucked up now.
Yeah.
He's become angrier. He's become more disillusioned. He's become more aggressive, more of kind of an asshole. And I don't know if it's just because he himself is become sickened with the current state of politics, or as you said, he's looking at the numbers and he knows that that's what sells, is for him to be kind of like shithead.
Ever since Kyle Rittenhouse got off, he has just not been the same. I mean, ever since that white supremacist down in Kenosha walked, he's like, fuck it. I can't take it anymore.
Well, we covered his conversation with Destiny about Kyle Rittenhouse, which is
totally.
Like, it's insane. It's an insane conversation.
I'm joking around about the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, but I completely agree with you. I think it's more the numbers. I think obviously he's been very vocal about how the change in the algorithm to favor more mainstream sources has really hurt his revenue and hurt his channel. And I think this is kind of forcing him to go more in the Tim Pool. Is Tim Pool really like Vosh? I feel like Tim Pool is a bit, but more. Tim Pool is actually, that's not fair. Tim Pool would never say incendiary stuff, but he does definitely tailor his coverage.
He says incendiary stuff all the time.
Does he really? I mean, I don't. Does he looked someone in the face and said you're either dishonest or ignorant?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know if he. I don't know. I watch enough of his streams. I think when he has guests on, he's at least starts way more cordial.
Yeah, he's way cordial.
Polite. Yeah. No, yeah. In that regard, yes, definitely.
But I only mean it in the sense that Tim Pool realized. Tim Pool had the exact same arc. He's like, I want to be a real journalist. I want to fight against fake news. You know, I don't want to do partisan stuff.
Right.
And then as soon as he started just walking the partisan line, he started blowing up and he started realizing, okay, well, I don't necessarily have to do partisan stuff, but I can avoid certain stories that are going to piss my audience off and only focus on stories that are going to make them happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think Tim is the classic example of what are the audience capture, I think is the term. But so Patter in the chat says African American Hebrew Israelites are actually just black Jews from Israel, and they owned a vegan restaurant chain in DC, and they were looted during the Summer of Love.
Oh,
and I looked up an article, and okay, so here we go. African Hebrew Israelites, or the African American Hebrew Israelites, or whomever this was in this case that Jackson covered, have nothing to do with the bizarre, weirdo black Hebrew Israelites that dress up and cosplay like they're from biblical times and are horribly anti-Semitic and crazy.
There are black Jews, right? I mean, or black. Yeah. I guess not all Jews are Israeli, but not all Israelis are Jews, right?
Well, I'm not Israeli, so obviously. Yeah. But yeah, no, there are black Jews, and there are
black.
I'm trying to remember, one of the historical 12 tribes of Israel is supposed to be black or something. So, okay, so I don't know what Knowles said. I don't know if he made the confusion or not, but it's a completely different group. So thank you, Chad.
We can maybe figure out which. So here's the deal. I mean, I'm kind of, we're just meeting each other. I'm sort of kidding around, but here's the deal.
He's trying to walk it back.
Yeah, I think he realized how fucked that was, like, to start a conversation.
So do you think that was a failed joke?
No, I think it was real. I think it was his spite and elephant in command, and as he said it, he realized it was a very dumb thing to say. And he tried to walk.
I feel like that might have been a failed joke. I feel like that might have been a failed icebreaker.
What's the joke?
I mean, it is funny if he had any sort of comedic timing whatsoever.
No, it's not.
I mean, it looked like it was sincere. The key to that is to say it so it's not as sincere. I mean,
no, saying his first line about, like, well, I don't know if you're crazy, you have to ask your doctor about that. That's a joke.
That's pretty funny, yeah. And then he rolls into the next joke, but saying that you're either dishonest or stupid, it's not a joke. I don't see how that could be even twisted as a joke. Well, it is a joke, and that everybody always says that all the time.
Right, but that's not what he means.
Okay, this might have been a failed joke.
Okay,
let's continue.
There are no instances where, when issues come before the Supreme Court It comes down to the dictionary definition of a word. When it comes to who counts as a woman, or what is discrimination, or what is negligence, it's always in very narrow circumstances where dictionary definitions do almost nothing for you. So she was very smart not to.
So, I mean, I guess he's sort of correct, but sort of wrong. I guess I don't know what he means. He might be very narrowly parsing dictionary definition in this situation, because like, well, actually, there's a lot of Supreme Court cases, depending on how you read it, where they will pull out a dictionary, and if you're a strict constructionalist, you know, you might pull out a fucking dictionary from like the 1800s to say, well, when they wrote the law, you know, they obviously meant this, because the word meant this in, you know, the 1800s. So I don't know if I agree with this framing exactly.
I have the total straight real take on that exchange where she wouldn't describe what a woman is.
Okay.
And it completely offends progressives and conservatives.
Oh, okay.
Because my read of the situation, and I feel this is a factual read, is that she knows damn well what a woman is. She knows damn well what the biological realities of that statement are. But she also knows that most of the progressives are caught up in a religion that's just as ridiculous as Scientology. And in order to cater to those religious intuitions of, you know, the progressive base, she knows she can't answer that because it's blasphemy and it will totally offend them and their God. So I think that's exactly what took place there. But when you say that, well, I guess I worded it carefully, so I tried not to offend conservatives. But a lot of times, if you say that it's a religion like Christianity is a religion, then it kind of annoys conservatives. So,
well, should we actually pause this and watch the interaction to provide the context of what's being discussed here?
Sure, if you want. Is it the woman thing?
Yes. Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Let's do it. Totally do it.
So we're at a minute and 37. Okay, so put that down, and then we'll move, because I don't.
Have you seen that interaction?
I have, but it's been a while. It's been a while. So
you've heard my take on it, so you can assess.
I want to go.
Well, okay, so here's my take going into this.
Yeah, what's your take?
My take is very similar to your take. It's that she obviously knows what a woman is. And she would have answered the question 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, obviously.
And she only didn't, well, I mean, the question would have been asked 5 years ago, but assuming it had been, you know. And the only reason I think you're completely right. The only reason she didn't answer the question is because she is trying to appeal, or she's trying to not piss off, essentially, the woke people who, if she does, then they'll try to pressure Democrats into not, you know, having her be on the bench, essentially.
Yeah.
So she's trying to answer as carefully as possible. But hilariously, and this is where it shows you that nothing matters and everything is just tribal politics, the answer she gives is actually a very anti-trans activist answer, because she says, I don't know how to define a woman. You'll have to ask a biologist.
Yeah, totally.
And it's funny because she's essentially saying, she's affirming that there is a biological reality of how to determine what is a man or a woman.
Right.
And so that's why this interaction to me is so funny, because it's her trying to pander to the woke left, but it's so clear she doesn't understand them that she gives the exact wrong answer that they wouldn't want to hear.
Right. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and it's unfortunate that, to me, that's the most interesting part of their interaction. And that should have been what was highlighted, but it wasn't, because both sides are kind of looking for the tribal gotcha. So people on the left are saying she answered fine. It was a fine answer. It was a stupid question. And then people on the right are saying, she can't even define what a woman is. She's fucking full of shit. And it's like, that's sort of true, but I wish that the focus would have been on what I said, which I think is far more interesting, that she's so afraid of pissing off the woke people, but obviously doesn't understand what the fuck they're even advocating for.
Yeah. If the context was like a creationist debate and somebody asked her, You know, obviously, if she had a huge base of creationists and she asked her, how old do you think the Earth actually... I heard creationists say that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. How old do you think the Earth actually is? As a big gotcha, because obviously, you know, if she's a reasonable person, she would say it's very old. But she says, I don't know. You'd have to ask a geologist.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, sting.
Right. Because you're like, that's actually a fuck you to creation.
It is, totally.
So
she's trying to cater to the creationists and at the same time going, geology, huh? Oh, snap.
So let's check out this interaction.
Go to you something you said when you were in private practice. You made your views on pro-life and the pro-life movement very clear. And in fact, you attacked pro-life women. And this was in a brief that you wrote. You described them, and I'm quoting, hostile, noisy crowd of in-your-face protesters, end quote. And you advocated against...
I mean, that's just accurate.
That's fair.
This is totally a gotcha.
These women's First Amendment right.
Everyone has to understand, on both sides of this, every person that asks a Supreme Court nominee in modern day questions, they don't give a fuck about the answer.
No,
it's
they don't.
all virtue signaling.
Yeah.
It's all the people that want to run for president or, you know, want to further their office or trying to ask gotcha questions so that they can clip it and then they can put it in an ad when they run.
Well,
that's all that's happening in these nominations.
These are all takedowns too. She wants to take her down a peg. She wants to smear her profile before she gets any power.
Right.
To express their sincerely held views regarding the sanctity of each individual life. And I'm a pro-life woman.
Is there a question?
79% of...
She's probably a creationist too, isn't she?
I don't know. I'm not going to go that far.
The
I hope not.
American women support restrictions of some type on abortion. And so I find it incredible.
She's writing bitch ass
I know. Exactly. I was like, where's the over the cam? They should have an over the shoulder camera.
Incredibly concerning that someone who is nominated to a position with life tenure on the Supreme Court holds such a hostile view toward a view that is held as a mainstream belief that every life is worth protecting. So how do you justify that incendiary rhetoric against pro-life women?
There's like this weird game that's played where like we had to pretend that our Supreme Court nominees and our Supreme Court justices are like blank slates who go into every case and every situation with no biases. Yeah. Which, I mean, I wish that was the case, but obviously that's not true. And obviously, you know, Democrat and Republican nominees have very strong political beliefs when they go into these situations. So,
of course,
you know,
I
mean, you know, you have, you know, this is a big controversy right now with Clarence Thomas's wife is like a fucking, she's not only like a giant QAnon type supporter, but she's actually a political lobbyist for specific things.
Crazy.
You know, you have Scalia thought the devil was like manipulating people into having political opinions and stuff. So it's like, yeah, I mean, and I'm sure all the Democrats that come into this think that, you know, Trump is fucking evil and I think the pro-life people are evil and all this other shit. So it's all, I don't know, it's all, I wish there was a way we could kind of get past this without like a pony show, I guess.
It's all
virtue
a
signaling
pony show.
Yeah.
They pitch us as kind of like a job interview, but half the people obviously don't want to even look at this candidate. So their whole goal is to pull out questions that make you think this is a terrible candidate, which will hurt. Their goal is to hurt, you know, their political opposition in the next election. Did you see the Democrats nominated someone that hates pro-life people? Are you going to let that stand? Get out and vote. Vote for me. That's exactly what it is. Oh, it's so obvious.
Thank you, Senator.
Anyone who thinks this is like these people are sincere. No.
Yeah, there's nothing here sincere.
Don't fall for it. Yeah. This is worse. At least actors, they get to do the movie and act and then go home and be themselves. Politicians are actors 24/7.
Yeah.
There is no real them. It's terrible.
The brief that you're referring to was a brief that I filed on behalf of clients who were clients of my law firm. This is in, I believe, 1999 or 2000, maybe 2000 or 2001.
Yeah.
I was an associate at a law firm, and I had...
and bitch, I just typed that brief, okay? I didn't even write the shit. Where's the woman stuff? Because we were supposed to be looking at the woman stuff.
I'm assuming, I mean, she's the one that asked the question.
Oh, she asked the woman question?
Yes, yeah, so I wanted to play,
we
the
can play
context of whatever the conversation was.
Of course. Yeah, we're not going John Oliver on you guys, okay?
Right.
We're not ripping
Well, no,
because
because like I've seen the clip of her asking the question. I didn't see whatever led up to it.
Right. Okay. This is pro-life.
Right.
Appellate experience, because I had just finished my Supreme Court law clerk position. And in the context of my law firm, I was asked to work on a brief.
I wonder what the brief was. I wonder what the case was. Like, was someone assaulted by one of these noisy activists outside of a clinic?
We'll see. Maybe she'll tell us.
Of course, you'd have to describe them that way. They assaulted my client.
Well, I mean, but it's just a dumb question because it's like, the fucking all activists are noisy, obnoxious fucking people. You go to like a pro-life or pro-choice rally, you're gonna have fucking women screaming in your face with bullhorns.
On Twitter, activists were screaming in your face.
I know. It's like it's like, so what?
Concerning a buffer zone issue. In Massachusetts at the time, there were laws protecting women who wanted to enter clinics, and there was a First Amendment question about the degree to which there had to be room around them to enter the clinic.
Right.
And
I understand all of that. I'm asking about the rhetoric.
Senator, I drafted a brief along with the partners in my law firm who reviewed it, and we filed it on behalf of our client.
Okay.
This is so fucking dishonest. It just kills me. It totally kills me.
Oh, okay. So
the blonde woman is being completely dishonest here because obviously, in the context of the brief, they're having a problem with activists that are, getting in people's faces. She has to describe that. She's not doing it to deliberately. I mean, it's the context of the situation. She's not saying all activists are fucking. This is so dishonest.
Right. And also it's a brief on behalf of a client. I thought it was, it's not like she's giving her opinion on something.
Yeah.
She's sending a brief, which obviously if you've ever read a legal brief, part of your lawyer's job is that they're going to characterize the other side as like as shitty as possible.
Yes, no doubt. Exactly.
Yeah,
and this lady asking the questions, they're all attorneys. They know this. She knows she's lying through her fucking teeth. She knows she's completely mischaracterizing the situation. She just can't jump up and say, listen, you're mischaracterizing the situation, bitch. So why don't you just shut the fuck up and put your pen away?
And I'm assuming that there's better questions Blackburn could ask about abortion or fucking anything other than this line of reasoning. There's got to be some better argument she could make.
You called them noisy, and
I guess it's pretty lame.
Whatever. I don't even remember what it said in the brief, but yeah. It's like if you got in an altercation with someone, obviously your attorney is going to describe that guy as belligerent, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So apparently you guessed correctly, which I'm kind of shocked by.
Sitch, well, you're crapping on A-team here. This isn't dishonesty always, okay?
Well, that's true. No. But you remember that, the A-team motto is it's better. Was it? It's better to be lucky. Yeah. It's better to be lucky than learned. Is that the motto?
I'm just assuming that there's all kinds of situations like this around. I mean, abortion clinics have to hire attorneys for this kind of stuff.
Well, okay, so I was trying to find out whether she is a creationist or not. The Senator Marsha Blackburn.
that one.
Yes, because you just said that. And I'm
Of
like,
course.
because I would assume, I would assume most people are not, like, regardless of
How
their position on
wrong you
abortion.
are.
So, well, okay, so I saw a bunch of articles that made the claim that she is a creationist,
Okay.
but I couldn't find
Whether or not it's true.
Well, I couldn't find why they what was the basis of this?
It could be the left lying about her because they love to lie about
Well, that's what I thought. All these articles are saying she's creationist. I'm like, okay, where's the source for this? So I found finally where I assume the source of this claim comes from. She was endorsing this is in 2018. She was endorsing a Senate candidate, Shane Reeves. And in it, she said, if you want to have somebody in the Senate, when we send Medicaid from the federal government back to the states, if you want somebody who understands what is going on, how to deliver healthcare to Tennessee, you want Shane Reeves as your state senator. Okay, state senator. If you want to make certain that you have got a state senator, if you want to make certain that you got a state senator that understands the difference between evolution and creationism, is going to stand with you in those conservative Tennessee values, you want Shane Reeves.
Right. That's pretty tenuous, but it would be
That's the best you
funny.
got, but it seems pretty pro-creationism from that statement.
It would be funny if Jackson asked her, I have a question for you. How old is the Earth? What is the exact age of the Earth?
Yes.
And if she said, well, I'm not sure. I'm not a geologist. So then it would be perfect symmetry. The simulation would be in balance.
in to advance our clients' arguments that they wanted to make in the case.
Let me ask you this.
Okay, you made it past that lie. Let me ask you another lie, please.
Right.
I can't stand this stuff. This is why people hate politicians.
When you go to church and knowing there are pro-life women there, do you look at them, thinking of them in that way, that they're noisy, hostile, in your face? Do you think of them? Do you think of pro-life women like me that way?
Senator,
This is fucking comedy gold. This is total comedy gold. Look, she's so laying it on. Do you think I'm noisy and hostile? Me, little old me, just asking you all these lying, leading questions? I'm being totally nice here, but I am being hostile.
Well, let me make sure that she even this is even the part where she asked to define woman. I don't even know where we get to that from this.
Was a statement
on that, because I think even zealous advocacy has come up, has cost the lives of over 63 million.
Because I feel like we're going to watch this clip and it's not even going to get to the part where she's asked to define woman.
You've done a terrible job here, Sitch.
Okay, YouTube has done a terrible job here.
Is this clip, what's this clip called? Does it say the woman thing?
No, it doesn't.
Well, what the fuck?
I typed in Kenjati Brown Jackson define woman, and this is what came up.
Here, I'll let you search for it. We'll go back to Michael Knowles.
No.
But
it's too late. I've already done it.
No.
I made an executive decision. I've already
worried sometimes. Legal protections specifically for women. So if we don't know what a woman is, then I'm granting you you're making the point on political strategy.
You can't.
Wait, that might be it.
Totally grant you that. That was the right move for her to make if she wants to avoid it. But
what are you doing? I thought
what are you doing?
I thought we were at 137.
Did you change it?
What do you mean?
Okay, on my screen it's still the old video.
Oh, it is?
It never changed. And I think it got to where we wanted, so I wish you hadn't changed it.
Oh, okay. Here, let me go.
But
okay. That's bizarre because I went back to the Pakman video. I hit the back button, but I'm back to Kendall.
Oh, well, yeah, if you just hit the back button, it's not going to switch it.
Is it Katani? I mean, that's actually a pretty cool name.
It is a cool name.
Yeah.
Okay, is it on Katani on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. It is?
Yep. And I'm
about
at
whether the
522.
Constitution protects the right to an abortion. On a constitutional,
Abortion is a right in that same category.
one of
What's
the
going on,
most
Sitch?
brazen.
Okay, no. Okay, so let me just get the.
You're killing me here.
How am I killing? I'm trying to find this stupid thing. And YouTube just sucks. And the media sucks. No one has a context clip. They just have the short version.
Can you provide a definition for the word?
Look at this. Is it? I mean, it's like a totally different day. She's wearing something completely different.
Is she?
Yeah, this seems
No,
like
she's not.
day
She's wearing the
2
same
or
thing.
something. Oh, really? Okay.
Woman.
And I found, I fucking hate PBS.
Can I-
PBS has the full 30-minute
Mhm.
dialogue, but they had the comments off. So I don't know where in this thing even happens.
Who cares? We don't. Come on. We're going full David Pakman here. We don't
Okay.
need context.
I want the context. I don't want to be David Pakman.
Okay.
Fuck David Pakman.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Zinger! What's she gonna do? What's gonna happen? What is she gonna say? How is she gonna respond?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
Cock blocked. No, I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, I don't agree with her on anything else, but I mean, obviously, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, Sitch, because it's modeled so much as a religion. Like, there's crazy shit that Mormons believe. There's crazy shit that Jehovah's Witnesses believe. There's crazy shit that Scientologists believe. And they accept that as truth, scientific fact. Oh yeah, that's just the way the world is, you know? That's their reality. But now we're in a weird place where the reality is woman is defined by you declaring you're a woman. I'm sorry, but that's not how science works.
I know.
That's not
I
how
know.
science works. I mean, if you want to declare you're a trans woman, you're a trans woman. Declare it. Go ahead. But it's a different reality to say. Yeah. Yeah, and she does throw him under the bus by saying the biology thing. But let's go back to Pakman. Come on. Let's have some fun with Pakman.
I just listen. I care.
Work your way through it.
I know this is like amazing, okay, but I actually care about trying to analyze the arguments. Okay.
We got all the context there.
Wait a
all the
minute.
important context. What was your take on the woman thing? So you agree with me that she just didn't define it because she's like, well, I know there's a lot of people that are going to lose their shit if I say a woman is an adult human female.
It's I believe that that's what she's doing, but that's me basing on just seeing the clip, and I don't know what she's referring to. I don't know what the context of the conversation is. So that's why I wanted to see the actual context of the conversation. So if I know,
she didn't give any good context. We'll look at it after.
well, I know,
we're
but
done
it didn't
watching the
have
video.
that didn't have any context.
We're in
all.
full review mode here. You can't go sideways on me here.
What do you
Get
mean?
it together. We're in the middle of, we're in the heat of battle here. Get it together, Sitch. Get yourself together.
Listen. Listen.
Hit the back button twice and we're good to go.
But
I
Why don't you just put it in the
No,
thing?
hit
Why
the
do you
back button twice. It's just easier. Hit your back button twice and just chill out. Chillax already. We're at 137.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you
All right,
just don't.
start it up.
You gotta just go with the flow, man. Gotta just
Or what is
chillax.
negligence? It's always in very narrow circumstances where dictionary definitions do almost nothing for you. So she was very smart not to play into these kind of rhetorical black holes, because whatever definition she gives, Michael, she then is going to be pushed into some corner with some case or article or book she hasn't read, by the way. And there's no upside to it. So if we're just having a...
See, and it is Pakman being ignorant or dishonest here? Because I feel like he's being dishonest. I feel like he knows the truth is exactly what I laid out. That he knows there's a bunch of progressives that believe this wacky idea that there's absolutely no biological difference between a trans woman and a woman.
That's no, that's obviously going on, but that's why I wanted to find the clip, because I don't know. It's possible that whatever the context is of the conversation, it makes sense for her to answer in that way. That's why I wanted to find it.
Right. You'll never find it.
I know. See, I found it on C-SPAN. I just have to do the math to figure out where it is in the YouTube clip.
Okay. I'm going to continue this.
You continue.
I will entertain all of you.
You
all
listen,
by my lonesome.
Listen to this guy.
I know.
Okay. It's
a good faith conversation about strategy.
No, people are here to learn what is true, not to just hear us, confirm a lot of bullshit that we've all heard a million times.
This is a comedy show, Sitch. People are here for fun. And
I'm
entertainment.
going to do my due diligence here. I'm going to provide a useful service so that I can either say maybe Pakman has a point, or I could say Pakman's fucking full of shit and he's a lying asshole.
Well, we know he's being dishonest.
She did the right thing. Almost 60% of Americans believe she's qualified, and she is. And that's really all there is to it. It's kind of boring.
Well, I agree with her. I don't agree with you that it's boring. I think it's one of the most interesting questions in the country that we're now at a point.
Nobody cares. No one cares.
I care.
Listen to you. All right. We're at 211. If you want to cue up your nonsense.
Listen to this guy.
Thank you, Mr.
Adam doesn't
Chairman.
care about context of the conversation. Okay.
Okay, here it is. Where is it?
So it's at 724 is when she asked the
definition for the word woman.
Okay, but let's go
back it up. Yeah.
Back it up to see what's been
made up exclusively of one sex is different from a community, national origin class. Supreme Court a book. And you gave the quote. Okay.
Georgetown Day School is a private school.
Yes.
That.
Well, now we're going to cover CRT.
No, we're just going to cover this.
VMI's male-only admission policy. Writing for the majority, Justice Ginsburg stated, supposed inherent differences are no longer accepted as a ground for race or national origin classifications. Physical differences between men and women, however, are enduring. The two sexes are not fungible. A community made up exclusively of one sex is different from a community composed of both. Do you agree with Justice Ginsburg that there are physical differences between men and women that are enduring?
She's pulling out RGB on her. She's saying, listen, RGB says it is. What do you say?
Senator, respectfully, I am not familiar with that particular quote or case, so it's hard for me to...
She sees it coming. She's like the train is coming down the tracks, coming for her. She knows where this is going.
See, this is why I wanted to find the context, because this is a bullshit answer that Jackson is giving.
Totally bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems very clear. She's saying there's a court case about whether it was justifiable to discriminate some
based
athletics thing
based
on sex, where race is not okay. And RGB says that there are biological differences.
Yeah.
She's saying, do you agree with this? And she's saying, I don't know.
I've
I don't
never
know what
heard
you're
of that case.
Yeah.
So the dog ate my homework.
Right. Okay. So see, so Jackson right here being very bullshitty.
Evasive.
Under my estimation, yes.
She knows. She knows. She's like, holy shit, she's going to ask me what a woman is. My God.
Okay.
Comment as to whether.
All right. I'd love to get your opinion on that, and you can submit that. Do you interpret?
She gave her fucking homework. Submit that to my office,
yes,
please.
Justice Ginsburg's meaning of men and women as male and female?
Again, because I don't know the case, I don't know how I interpret it. I need to read the whole thing.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
The meaning of the word woman is so
Okay, Sitch. It was good to get the full clip.
Yeah, see? It makes Jackson look much worse.
It does.
I think Pakman's argument is totally dog shit. I mean, obviously, like if you're in a courtroom, the judge, and if you're in a, like this, we saw this with Kyle Rittenhouse case. If you're in a courtroom and there's some term that is relevant to the case, the judge shouldn't be the one to necessarily, give out the definition. You're going to have both sides. They're going to have some expert come in and they're going to make expert testimony about, whatever. But that's not the situation. She's not in a fucking courtroom. She's being asked a question by a senator.
Every single case, they're going to have an expert come in and say, well, a woman, they're going to have dueling experts.
Well, yeah, but see, and this is highly relevant because even before the transgender shit came up, defining what it meant to be a man and woman was highly relevant to figuring out whether there was sex discrimination happening in the workplace or in a college or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Title IX, completely based on discrimination over sex. Yeah.
Clear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer.
Well, see, this is where I would have done something different. Blackburn should have asked her, okay, so under the law, how do you define what it means to be a woman?
Exactly.
Yes. You have to know this question. This is a highly relevant question, especially when it comes to all the transgender stuff.
You've never had a case where you've had to define. Have you had any casework where woman was defined and what was that definition?
Yes. Or because she probably would say no. It would be, have you had any case where you've had to deal with like women, period? And like the fact that a participant was a woman was relevant to the case. And how did you make that determine? Yeah, of course.
She did an abortion case.
She did an abortion case.
Fuck?
Exactly. And you'd say, well, then how did you know that when you were talking to your client or whatever, that she was a woman? How did you make that distinction? Were you a biologist at the time?
Yeah.
When you had the person come into your office for the abortion case, did they have to provide a blood sample and a biologist had to see if they had two X chromosomes? How exactly did you make this determination?
Yeah. Answer. Please.
When you had your client come in for the abortion case, how did you know it wasn't really 3 pigs in a trench coat? Like, how did you make this determination, please?
Well, I'm not a biologist. I didn't really know
About something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about. Just last week.
See, this is the problem. I think this is a good line of questioning, but instead of continuing it,
she's sort of grandstand. Yeah.
Now she's grandstanding about, them progressive educations and all this, which is true, but not relevant to this question.
This clip could have been way more viral. Well, she could have completely boxed her in so badly.
That's true. That is true. She should ask him about the 3 pigs in a trench coat question.
She should have brought up the abortion case. She should have said, listen.
How'd you know it was a woman that you were dealing with? Yeah.
Well, and also you're talking about relevant services.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many ways that she could have just completely mopped the floor with her on this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certain she's been on a... Look, they pulled her for a reason. I'm sure she's been on a dozen discrimination cases that are based on sex.
Yes. I'm sure she has too.
Yeah. Yes.
An entire generation of young girls watched as our taxpayer-funded institutions permitted a biological man to compete and beat a biological woman in the NCAA swimming championships. What message do you think this sends to girls who aspire to compete and win in sports at the highest levels?
Look at the look on her face right now is just total disgust.
Well, because it's a stupid fucking question. It has nothing to do with, you shouldn't be asking her that question.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the virtue.
That's a
she
political question. Yeah,
it's a political virtue signal question. She should have kept going on this path of, you've had cases that dealt with women. Mm-hmm. Obviously you have some working definition of what it means to be a woman that you're operating under. So tell me what that is, and don't pretend you don't know. And start bringing up her abortion cases, start bringing up her discrimination cases, et cetera, et cetera. Not be like, what are you going to tell all these weeping young girls who want to participate in sports but can't anymore? Mm-hmm. What are you going to tell them?
Yeah, this question is completely easy to dodge.
It's just like,
Senator, I'm not sure what message that sends. If you're asking me about the legal issues related to it, those are topics that are being hotly discussed, as you say, and could come to the court. So I'm not able to.
I think it
I'm not at liberty to say because the case might come up. Oh, I so hate that answer.
Yeah.
Such a punt. Should we go back to Pakman or?
Well, let's see.
Tells our girls that their voices don't matter. I think it tells them that they're second-class citizens.
Well, I mean, duh. They are second-class. What? They are second-class citizens. Now I'm getting offended by this. It shows them the truth.
And parents want to have a Supreme Court justice who is committed to preserving parental autonomy and protecting our nation's children. So let's move on. I want to go to the...
Can we move on?
Okay,
please?
so I guess that was it. That was it. So we can go back.
You're not
interesting.
You're not in favor. You're not in favor of trans people competing against biological women.
Generally not. No.
It's got to be demoralizing. Just
for girls, of course.
Yeah,
of course it is.
Aiming for second place because and then now there's 2 trans people in the league. Okay, I guess it's third place I'm shooting for now.
Well, that's the issue that I think is so ridiculous is that it's obvious. Like when you have something like professional sports, you're already selecting for whoever's going to be like the top 1 or the top 0.01% of the distribution curve.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you throw trans women into that mix, who are going to have a natural biological advantage over cis women, you're obviously going to be pushing that curve even smaller.
Yes.
In terms of cis women, and you are going to box cis women out of most sports, and it's ridiculous to think or argue that that's not the case.
Well, and I mean the people who argue in favor of it, it's so sad because they argue that it's just one spot. It's just one spot. It's the top fucking spot. It's the spot everybody wants to see themselves in.
Right.
Yeah. You're totally going to demoralize anyone who even wants to compete. Sooner or later, the competition numbers are going to wane.
Right. And I think the reality is the reality is you're just going to have to create
a trans league.
And it's a trans league because it's funny because the flip side of it is trans men who are going to get utterly blown the fuck out by cis men in almost every sport. on top of that. So it's like and that's what's so bizarre about this is you're only helping the trans women. You're hurting the trans men if they have to compete with cis men in most sports.
Yeah.
So and I understand that it'd be hard to create its own league because there's probably not enough people, but I don't see any other possible solution. And all these solutions about like, well, we need to completely restructure sports, and all this like complicated fucking shit. It's like, no, we're not doing that. We're not completely retooling our entire fucking very easy system of dividing sports by sex in order to focus on a tiny, tiny, tiny minority of people. We're not doing that. That's idiotic.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Totally idiotic. All right. Pakman. What's this
That
guy?
friends would bring to you.
Did you hit back button?
Yeah, well, I want to hear his full answer now that we have the context.
Oh, shit.
Do you think you'd be
I hit the
Did
back
you not
button.
hit the back button?
I
But
did, but I hit
I-
it too many times. But
Oh my
I'm
God.
there now.
You're there?
It's like a channel change. I love it.
Okay.
If you go back one more, we get academic screaming.
We'll watch Academic Ages streaming later.
Are no instances where when issues come before,
Where are you at? I'm at 115.
it comes
Yeah, let me go back a little bit.
We were at 205.
we're just
but-
meeting each
I know,
other.
but I want to go back. I want
Okay,
to fully hear his comment.
I'm sort of kidding around, but here's the deal. There are no instances where when issues come before the Supreme Court, it comes down to the dictionary definition of a word. When it comes to who counts as a woman, or what is discrimination, or what is negligence, it's always in very narrow circumstances where dictionary definitions do almost nothing for you.
So
Mhm.
this is a kind of a bullshit answer, because on one hand, that's true. If they had some case about female discrimination or trans woman discrimination, no one's going to pull out a fucking dictionary
Yeah, obviously.
and read it. But Jackson could have given an answer, and if Blackburn had asked her follow-up questions better instead of virtue signaling, Jackson could have been pressured to give an answer about what legal definition of woman she's been operating under through her entire career, and does she see that being changed in regards to trans women issues
yeah,
or not?
that would have been much better. She fucked up.
Right. So this is kind of a bullshit answer from David. I would say.
I agree. Yeah.
So she was very smart not to play into these kind of rhetorical black holes, because whatever definition she gives, Michael,
Rhetorical black holes.
Yeah, I don't see how is it a rhetorical black hole.
He's just.
Well, let's see.
This is
She- well, she-
bullshit. He's just bullshit.
she then is going to be pushed into some corner with some case or article or book she hasn't read, by the way. And there's no upside to it. So if we're just having a good faith conversation.
Okay, so his answer, he gave the Vosh answer, which I don't think, which on one hand, all of these confirmation hearings are just bullshit, optics, virtue signaling bullshit. But I don't think that should be what the nominee ascribes for. And so David Pakman essentially just said, she's smart for not answering the question, because if she gave an honest answer, then Blackburn would try to catch her with a gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to avoid gotchas by not answering the question, which is like, okay, well, you're only talking about what Blackburn should do, not Blackburn, what Jackson should do
Politically.
optically
Yeah.
or rhetorically. You're not talking about what is reality or what is ethical and moral and how she should actually be answering this question.
Yeah.
So I don't find that a satisfying answer at all, Mr. Pakman.
I don't either.
Conversation about strategy, she did the right thing. Almost 60% of Americans believe she's qualified, and she is. And that's really all there is to it. It's kind of boring.
Well, I agree with her. I don't agree with.
See, and this was crazy too. It's not boring. It's the opposite. It's insane that in the current year, we have a Supreme Court nominee who feels pressured to not define what the fuck a woman is.
I know.
In order to score a rhetorical or optics battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a legal definition of woman. I am certain of it. I am
Of course
certain
there is.
there is.
Of course there is. Yeah.
Yes. This has been debated, and there's got to be 100 cases. There's got to be stacks of case law on this. It's ridiculous.
Well, and it's interesting too, because, and maybe this is where it gets even stickier, the protection currently of, because unless, I don't remember if they changed it or not, but previously the protection for trans individuals under Title 7 or 9 or whatever the fuck it is was under the idea that it was sex stereotyping.
Mm-hmm.
So it was under the idea that, like, so it is against the law to sex stereotype a man or a woman. So you can't say, oh, you know, we're stereotyping that women have to have long hair and wear dresses and heels. So if you don't wear that, you can't come into work. Mm-hmm. Right. Your employee. And if you fire someone for not wearing a dress, who's a woman, you know, she wants to wear a pantsuit or something, she can sue and say, you're violating my civil rights and you're sex stereotyping me as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been interpreted to include both homosexual behavior and transgender behavior. And so it's interesting because so what I'm getting at is that the current protections for transgender individuals being protected from discrimination lawsuits for being employed
could be
operates on the function that they are biologically male or female.
Right. Yes. And
not that they're trans.
Definition.
Right.
Yes.
So the current protection for trans people is the court acknowledging that they're biologically not what they are when they're trans,
mm-hmm.
which is kind of fascinating because it kind of contradicts the whole, you know,
mm-hmm.
There's no difference between a woman and a trans woman argument that is often levied by trans activists online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's her Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
With you that it's boring. I think it's one of the most interesting questions in the country that we're now at a point where we can no longer even define man or woman. But I do agree with you on strategy. She's in a very tough spot because her side of the aisle, and she's relatively leftist, even by the standards of the Democratic Party.
Now, did he use the right definition of leftist? Not really.
Well, I don't know if he is. He could be. I mean, he said leftist.
This is
by
the problem with
leftists.
leftists. This is a problem with leftists. So many people use it just to mean someone on the left.
Right.
I don't think he called her socialist.
Yeah, leftist
so on her side,
socialist.
Means it means left of liberal.
So
which is generally socialist anarchist.
Give me that screen grab for the. Give me that screen grab for the thumbnail.
For the thumbnail, you like that? That's a pretty good.
Look at David Pakman. That's like the perfect thumbnail.
I'll send it to you. That's pretty amazing.
Wow,
you know. But see,
the ultimate well face.
Well, that is the ultimate well face.
Mm-hmm.
But funny faces aside, see, but this is kind of my problem with the conversation. Even after David has that opening snipe,
mm-hmm.
I mean, Michael's still being very nice. He's like, I agree with you. He said,
it was a joke.
We can't define
it was a joke,
you know.
Sitch. Let it go.
Okay.
It was
Regardless.
a bad joke. He's a terrible.
Okay.
His is not a comedy show. Okay.
I don't think it was a bad joke. But he says, you know, Knowles says, you know, I think it's crazy we can't define woman, but I agree with you about the optics and strategy. So he's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's trying to be nice. He's trying to build a bridge of a conversation, even if he
is this going to get worse? Does this turn into more of a trash fire? Oh, great. I love it.
Side of the aisle, there is a new definition of woman. Well, they haven't given the definition of woman, but it's not the old definition of woman, which is a person who's not a man. That is out because of the transgender movement. And so she knows that if she gives this new definition, which is a woman is, I don't know, a woman is someone who says that he or she is
self-declaration.
Right.
That's what they're shooting for. She goes through it. The Helen Joyce goes through it in the trans book that's what they're really shooting for. Legally, they want self-identification to be the definition of woman.
Right.
Yeah.
And we heard this from the Dr. Phil people.
Yes. Yeah.
That, you know, woman is whoever defines woman, which obviously is insane in terms of like, you could never have, the law could not operate under you are a woman or man, depending on whether you define yourself as a woman or man that day. That obviously could never work in any sort of legal framework whatsoever.
as a woman, that's going to alienate, I think, the vast majority of Americans. If she gives the old definition that a woman is a female human being and a female is of or denoting the sex that can bear children and reproduce and produce eggs, for instance, she knows that will alienate her base, and she knows that now is apparently controversial in the law after the Bostock decision, after other transgender decisions. So I understand the strategy, but what about the law? What about the definition? You say she shouldn't be quoting the dictionary. Well, fine. Shouldn't she at least be able to give the legal definition of a woman? Shouldn't she, a woman, have some sense of what that is? I'm not a meteorologist. I can tell you if it's raining.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. Oh my God.
So far, I'm watching this and I'm like, I think Knowles is being totally fair. I think that's a great question that he just asked.
Yeah.
That's a great follow-up question. And he's 100% right, because obviously the legal definition of a man and woman can't just be self-identification, because if it was, then you could have the TERF nightmare, come to fruition, where you have a bunch of perverts and a bunch of fucking sexual, salty, disgusting males can just say, oh, I can just walk into any female locker room, any female space, and just declare that I'm identifying as a woman that day.
Yes. Yeah.
So there obviously needs to be something more tangible and far more permanent and unchanging than just this nonsense.
Yeah. Legal protections for women only spaces evaporate. Yes. Right. But this is why they're doing it. This is the truth. You got to read that Helen Joyce book. It's so maniacal.
That is why they're doing it. It's totally ridiculous.
The one point that she makes that is just so like evil and insane is that the trans activists have all of these policy proposals that they want to get into place, but they're trying to avoid public scrutiny. So they do not want articles written about what they're doing. They want to basically put this stuff in through lobbying and back channels, because they know they know the public is not in favor of this stuff. Yeah. Oh, it's so brutal.
Well, that's true. And also, I just realized if they could get their crazy self-identification legal definition into the law, it would have an impact on both children and adults in terms of trying to get gender reassignment surgery.
Oh, because they already declared. What do you need the surgery for?
Well, no, but not in terms of like, they would make some argument like if all it takes is to be a woman, just to declare you're a woman, there's no other criteria that then all it takes is for a child to make that declaration, and you can make a legal argument that they shouldn't have to jump through any other hoops. They shouldn't have to receive psychological evaluation in order to, be on hormone blockers, receive cross hormones, get gender reassignment.
This is why they compare it to the gay rights thing, because they want to say that it's just as normal as homosexuality. When once called homosexuality a mental illness, they want to say that being trans or gender fluid or non-binary is the exact same thing. It's the norm.
Right, which is bullshit, because I wouldn't frame it as being like normal, because that's not what makes it different. What makes it different is that with gay people, all that changes is like you say, okay, well, I accept homosexuality as being morally okay.
Right. Society
you don't have to change. Yeah. Society doesn't have to change anything. Individual behaviors don't have to change. The people that are gay don't have to change anything about themselves.
They don't have to change their pronouns. You can still call them the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. But with the trans issue, it's completely different, because they do have to change. Acceptance isn't enough. No. They do have to seek treatment. They do have to change their bodies. Yeah. And then on top of that, there is the question of, well, now you're going to have trans women and trans men in cis men and cis women spaces, whether it be locker rooms, whether it be in sports, and it's going to have these impacts that simply being gay has no real impact on anyone except for the individual who's gay.
Yeah. The trans swimmer's walking around the locker room with his ding dong out, and there's a bunch of articles of the women complaining about it and the coach just telling them to suck it up. Not suck up the ding dong, suck it up. Suck it up morally, I guess. How that's got to be so
weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not only that, you read David M. Buss's last book, and there's a scientifically measured thing in the fact that guys can't take a clue. Basically, guys will perceive a woman likes them even though they don't like them, like a lot. This happens a lot.
Yeah.
So imagine that. And evidently, the swimmer is still attracted to women.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
So that would be even weirder, because if you have a trans woman who's getting like an erection.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God. Yeah.
This is the crazy.
There's a lot of
world
problems here, guys. A lot of sticky issues.
So I have one point I wanted to make about the Pakman thing. Yeah. I feel like Pakman is he knows this is insanity, but it's the insanity that his tribe has embraced, and his whole entire career and life is wrapped up with these people. So he realizes his tribe has gone insane, and he's doing his best to tap dance around it. But it's
not working.
It isn't
it's
working.
Not working. No.
Aren't the sane people? No, I guess the sane people really can't speak up because they just get escorted. They get kicked out of the tribe, basically.
Yeah, you get labeled an evil, trans, racist, whatever.
You can't even talk about this stuff on Twitter. Twitter is basically the same as the Catholic Church back when Galileo was arguing about evolution. Like, they're like, nah, you're not going to talk about that in here. It's settled.
Is in a position, or will be in a position, or might be in a position to decide for the purposes of a particular set of facts based on a claim brought by someone who appeals a case about these issues. And so it's literally irrelevant to her job as a Supreme Court justice. And so again, we can have a cultural discussion outside of the context of the Supreme Court. In the Senate's job in evaluating, is she qualified? It's an irrelevant question. And by her qualifications, she's more qualified than any of the 9 justices currently on the court. There's no way to deny that.
I think you can.
That's a complete non-answer, though, that Pakman just gave, because that's not true. If she's most likely going to have cases not just on women's rights and women discrimination, but also she's most likely going to have a case that's about transgender issues and about how trans women and trans men should be defined under the law. Whether they should be defined as the same as cis women and cis men. That's obviously going to come up. So she does have to give an answer to that. And that's a complete non-answer that David gave. Like, oh, well, the facts of the case is going to dictate that individually. Not really. Not really.
Yeah. Well, and she could talk about, like we said, there are tons of cases that is literally the facts of the case that she could reference. Yeah.
Of course.
So, and he never responded to Michael Knowles' very salient point that optically she's doing a tap dance because her base believes this crazy religion. And whoa, isn't it odd that we live in a time where people believe this madness?
Well, he doesn't want to, because Pakman's playing the optics game too, which is that he's basically looking at this conversation and he's looking at Jackson's nomination purely through the lens of tribal politics, Democrat versus Republican. No, so even if he disagrees with the position that the Democrats are currently having regarding gender, he doesn't want to talk about it or express it because it hurts the Democrats' platform or position overall.
Well, and he knows he's got a gun to his head when they come for him and say, you got to say trans women are women. David Pakman has to smile and say it. He's got to put. I don't know if he's got to put the fist about it yet. He's got to put the fist up in the air and say, "That's right, that's right. I am one of. We are the same. I have said the incantation.
Don't burn me at the stake as a witch. I've said the magic words."
Every single person in his audience is a believer in this cult.
Yeah, it's true.
He's surrounded by the crazies. That's what's so funny about this clip, because Michael Knowles is basically saying, you're surrounded by the crazies. And Pakman's like, Yeah, I know I am.
And because I think all of the 9 justices on the court can tell you what a woman is. And so I know we're getting back.
Because they've never been asked to do that. No, nobody's ever been asked to define.
Terrible answer. Of course they haven't, because it wasn't an issue 2 years ago.
Words in this way during hearings. So you could speculate that, but they've never been asked. So
they've never been asked.
Impossible
I
to
agree,
say that.
I've never, but I, as a gambling man, I would bet the farm that Justice Alito could tell you what a woman is. But you're right; they've never been asked because it's never been controversial before. But I want to get to a point you just made. You said there's no legal definition of a woman, but there must be, because there are legal protections specifically for women. So if we don't know what a woman is, then
Title III thing
and Title IX, and Title IX is quite controversial.
Have a good faith conversation, or one that's in some way productive. You know.
What a little bitch. What a little bitch.
Oh my God.
He's like, as soon as I start losing, I sort of feel like the conversation is not productive.
Yes. Like, I'm assuming that when he agreed to come talk to him, he knew what they were going to fucking talk about, right?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, he's not, I mean, for him to say, like, that is so disgusting, because Knowles, again, brings up a completely fair and valid point that we brought up. There obviously has to be a fucking definition of what it means to be a woman, because women have special protection under the law that applies to them. Yeah. So obviously there has to define what the fuck a woman is. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, this is a bad faith conversation. I don't think it's going to be productive. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck does that mean?
These are the same people that were yelling about intelligent design. They yell about conception, being at, a baby is conceived, or life begins at conception. They argue about that from a religious point of view. These are the same, like this is the follow the science crowd. And now they are in a position where they can't even follow the science on what a biological woman is.
I know.
I know. Insanity. He has to tap dance around it. This is hilarious. I never would have imagined we'd have front row seats for this. This kind of craziness.
This is a bad faith conversation. Okay. You're asked a very simple question that you don't want to answer. So you say this is a bad faith conversation.
I don't
tap dance away.
I don't understand. What I mean, I envision a world where we can say trans women are trans women, and that's okay.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I thought that's what we were going for. I thought we were trying to get society on board with trans women, can exist and everyone be comfortable with it. But when you have this situation where, people are forcing you into this trans women are actually biological women thing, mm-hmm. You're never going to get to the point I lay out. That makes trans women are trans women, and that's fine, impossible, because the pushback is going to be so immense that it's not even going to be politically feasible. That's the situation they're setting up. Do you disagree?
No, I agree completely.
Yeah. So you got to fix it. Fix it, David. Fix it, Pakman.
You're saying you and I, or you're saying Ketanji Jackson?
You and I, yeah. I don't know if, listen, the Republican senators obviously didn't want to have a good faith conversation. I was talking about you and I, Michael.
Yes, well, I do want to, this is why I'm granting you you're making the point on political strategy. I totally grant you that. That was the right move for her to make if she wants to avoid relevance. But then bring up Title IX. There are legal protections for women. This is coming before the court. It's come before the court in the last term. There are going to be a lot more cases coming before the court coming up. It seems extraordinarily relevant that we know what this woman thinks of these issues and of a basic question of biology and human nature. What is a woman?
Do you remember in Jonathan Haidt's book, he talks about Title IX affecting the rowing teams because they can't get women on rowing teams, but the men are like dying to be on rowing teams. So the men basically have to sell candy bars door to door, and the women have like money to throw around in their program because there's so few of them.
Yes.
This situation would immediately change all that if half of the team was just signed a paper that said that they were women.
Oh my God.
All of a sudden that completely vanishes.
That's hilarious.
The whole problem just disappears if the coach shows up and says, listen, who are going to be the women this semester? You know, we need our funding. It's better than doing the fucking car wash again this year.
That's so funny.
Who's going to be on the girls rowing team this year?
You have half the team identifies just for this. See, and you're so right. I didn't even think about that. The college teams could construct some bullshit where, like, within the college they define themselves as the female rowing team.
Yeah.
And then but they can still compete like with other male teams, you know, going forward nationally.
So the Obama administration basically sent a night letter to all of the universities saying,
yes,
you need to get your act together. You're spending all of this money on men's sports and nothing on female sports. So all of the universities all of a sudden had to turn women who are not generally interested. I mean, obviously there are women who are interested in sports, but it pales by comparison to men. Now they have to like beg them, please come play a sport with us. Yeah, it's totally ridiculous.
I don't think that's a bad faith question for the senators or for me to ask.
No, it's not necessarily bad faith, but we have to be able to, what I hope are reasonable people, Michael, understand that in the context of her role as a Supreme Court justice, it doesn't come down to a biological opinion. Like, can you at least grant that piece?
Well,
that it's true that for what the Supreme Court decides, these are narrow issues where when it comes to Obamacare's constitutionality, which Amy Coney Barrett never, refused to weigh in on, with all of these things, these are really narrow legal decisions, and there is no way in which a dictionary definition of terms does anything for us.
Well, it might do something, but I grant your point a little bit, except that Marcia Blackburn didn't ask for the biological definition or the dictionary definition. That's what Ketanji Jackson added. She said, I'm not a biologist. But all Marcia Blackburn asked was, just tell me what a woman is from a legal perspective, a constitutional perspective, a philosophical, I mean, whatever. That's
literally not what Marcia Blackburn said. I would encourage you to pull the clip and identify the time at which she said that.
She said she didn't mention biology, and she didn't.
I'm so glad we listened to the clip.
So there's obviously a miscommunication here, whether intentional or accidental, where I would obviously interpret Knowles when he says all she did was ask her to define what a woman is, comma, legal, philosophical, blah, blah, blah. He's just saying that, like, that's the implicit, what lens, what framework of you defining woman is up to the interpretation of Jackson to do that.
She's
Blackburn
one.
That Blackburn didn't literally say all these words. And David Pakman's like, no, she didn't literally say what you're saying, so you're wrong.
Yeah. Any definition will do.
Right.
She could have said trans women are women.
Right. That's true. And also, she could have. And also, what Pakman's saying is not even true. That, like, the court, has these very narrow issues. That's not true at all. Lots of times, a case is about a very narrow issue, like, because a person is suing someone else or the state over some specific incident. But very often, these very narrow cases have very broad interpretations or broad implications for the rest of the country and for the rest of law. So it's a weird argument to make.
There's got to be thousands, tens of thousands of cases that involve specifically definitions of man and woman where they don't legally define man and woman because it was just accepted. I'm sure every sexual assault case that takes place doesn't come out and define. It just probably states whether the assailant was male or female and the victim was male or female. They don't come out and make those definitions.
Right, but it wouldn't be necessary to have a definition in a sexual assault case because it's not like there are different punishments or laws regarding, who's assaulting whom. Mm-hmm. I mean, it kind of ends up that way, but they're not supposed to be legally encoded that, like, women or men get different penalties for sexually assaulting.
Well, there's got to be hundreds of sexual discrimination cases where it is relevant.
Right. Yeah, that's an example.
I mean, yeah. David's stuck in the with the turkey position. Again, this is 2 times in a row. He got Kyle Rittenhouse wrong. Now he's stuck with this trans women or women thing.
Well, this feels different because it's like with Kyle Rittenhouse, he just literally got it wrong, and he kind of refused to. I mean, he sort of tried to fix his answer, and then or his opinion, then he like would double down. And we watched that with his conversation with Destiny. But this is like, I don't even know what his opinion is. He just refuses to answer the question. It's almost like he's like, I am Ketanji Jackson right now, and I can't answer this question because it would lose optically if I do. Like,
yeah, nobody on the left can answer this question right now, which is just, it's crazy to me that they complain about conservative Republicans and the evangelicals, and they're all being driven by their religion. And it's so terrifying. And then this happens.
right.
This is the same thing. It's the same thing.
Didn't mention the dictionary. She said, "What's
but
the
you just asserted that she said she wanted the legal and philosophical. She never said that. So
I didn't say that. I said,
Yeah. Bad faith. Bad faith.
See?
Look, already the finger pointing's beginning.
Yeah.
He said she could have picked any one of those.
Right.
No, he wasn't demanding that she pick one of them. Come on, pick one. Anyone. What do you want?
I said I just said Marsha Blackburn asked for the definition, any sort of definition that Ketanji Jackson could give of woman. She didn't specify biology.
Now you're backtracking.
I'm not backtracking at all.
That's dishonest now.
I'm not
This is so bad.
Oh, he's doing the thing. This is the thing. This is the thing that people do in arguments when they're losing.
Yes.
When they're
You're so
losing,
right.
they start character assassination. You're being dishonest now.
There needs to be a term for this, or maybe there is a term for this. Maybe someone in chat knows.
Yeah.
Where, and I'm glad you said this. This is so obvious. It's he is losing the conversation, doesn't want the conversation to continue, doesn't want to answer the question.
Yep.
So now he's going to become, as someone in the chat said, hyper autistic, and he's going to be like, no, something that you said that I could either say you misspoke or I could easily misconstrue. So I'm going to say that now you're lying and being dishonest. When it's very clear, I would argue, to any good faith, honest person, that Knowles didn't mean that Blackburn literally asked these words. That was his interpretation.
He said she could have answered with any one of these different categories. I mean, it's very clear what his intention was. Yeah. No, David is the one that's being dishonest here. And he's being dishonest because he doesn't want to answer this question because he knows there are a bunch of crazy people that pay him money every single month to make his crappy fucking videos.
Right. So
this
is the chat's answer so far. They're saying gaslighting, debate bro defense, the Vosh fallacy.
Those are good.
The Vosh fallacy is pretty good. I like he's pulling. I think Voshing someone is the best one so far, even though like it's not widely known outside our circle.
Yeah.
CT says it's called being a little bitch.
A little bitch.
Someone says it's called atoming.
What? Kick that person. That person needs a timeout. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, don't time them out.
Atoming. Wow. Conversational nuking, voshing, weaseling, pulling a Pakman. That's a pretty good one.
Was this supposed to be a 20-minute dialogue and it only ended up being 11 minutes?
I don't know. I am curious. Debate bro defense, pulling a Pakman, cuckery. Yeah. He's packing. Get it? Yeah, like panicking. He's packing. I like it. That's good.
He is
systemic dishonesty, moving the goalpost. There's probably some specific weird debate bro fallacy name that exists somewhere that we'll find out at some point. But
yeah,
I just realized we have pixelated Sitch on screen. What's going on here?
You don't like that one?
I
just
do.
Mixing it up.
Okay, just mixing it up. All right.
You don't. I mean, I can take it off if you want.
I like it. I just didn't know.
I didn't realize you were.
I don't know what you're trying to say about me. What are you trying to say about me?
Just mixing up the show a bit, trying to keep it fresh. You know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I care about the show. One of us has to. So good. Okay, that was too far. Let's get back to the video. What do you say?
Okay.
How am I backtracking?
No. Hold on a second.
No. Now you're lying.
I want to say something for the chat's sake.
What?
Okay. Only I, as the chosen people of God, get to make Jew jokes. Okay. I don't want to see fucking Jew jokes in the chat because I don't know who you are.
Oh,
and I will ban you.
Yes.
Okay. So that's your warning. That's your one warning.
Yes. Sitch and I have an agreement that we can ban whoever we want to ban.
Right.
So I can't
Well,
say
it's because
this
is the problem.
Well, I just want people to know. Right. If you come crying to me, oh, Sitch, ban me. No, fuck you. There's nothing I can do about it.
No, Adam's not care. This is why. I don't know who you are. People know who I am. It's very clearly known that I'm Jewish. It's very clearly known that I'm joking. I don't like, and I've gotten this complaint a lot, where people who are new to the show will come in and they'll see someone say some crazy shit in chat and they don't know you. They don't know if you're joking. They don't know who you are or what the fuck you're talking about. And so then it actually pushes viewers away from our channel.
Yes.
Which I don't want.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
toxic chats are no fun. Yeah.
Joe Neerman can make Jew jokes, obviously.
Yeah. Well, he's Jewish, but anyway.
Exactly.
His chat is totally toxic. So I don't know how he takes it, but anyway.
Let's be clear. 30 seconds ago, you said Marsha Blackburn didn't ask for the biological; she asked for the legal.
No, I didn't.
Let me finish the sentence.
Okay, but you're misrepresenting what I said.
No, I'm not. I would encourage the audience to rewind.
Well, I would encourage that. I would encourage that as well. But
first, but can I even get it out?
Sure,
or is this,
sure.
I mean, it's okay. The problem with what you just did, Michael, is you just said Blackburn asked for the legal definition, and I said no, she didn't, and you said no, that's true. She actually just asked for the definition.
You're so wrong, David. You're so wrong. I can't believe that you actually rewatched the video to upload it to your channel.
Yep.
Because
you
literally did not hear what he said. But I get it. You know, he's a scary Republican, so what he says is, you know, you can't really honor what he says. You can't really hear it clearly.
Sorry. Well, then, if either you misheard or it seemed that I misspoke, I'll be very clear.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Marsha Blackburn just said, what's the definition of a woman? She didn't specify anything else. Now, you then said that biology has no place here, or that the dictionary definition has no place. But that's not what Marsha Blackburn asked for. She just asked a simple question.
Understand that in these Supreme Court hearings, the senators can ask the questions however they want, and the nominees can answer them however they want.
Or not answer them.
My opinion is, this is my opinion, and you can have a different one, and that's the great thing about America, Michael. My opinion is that if you're interviewing for the job of Supreme Court justice, it's reasonable to assume the questions have a legal bearing as to your role on the court. Given that, Judge Jackson was right to understand the point of the question is to back her into a rhetorical corner about legal definitions. And she was right to say, it's not something I can answer. These are narrow issues when they come before the court, and there's no reason that she would ask such a question. Do you know this guy, Jesse Lee Peterson? Have you heard of him?
I know Jesse Lee Peterson.
When I was on with Jesse, he said to me, David, define what love is and what a man is. And it's a really common rhetorical technique for the bad faith right to start with just pick a word and define it and use it to back someone into a rhetorical corner. It's a waste of time, Michael. Let's talk about real issues, please.
Okay. Oh,
how is it not a real issue?
I know. Fuck you, David Pakman. Fuck you. He's lost all credibility here. How is the definition of woman not a real issue? How is women's sports not a real issue? How is women-only spaces not a real issue? How's that not a real issue? What the hell?
Well, this obviously this is going to come up in Supreme Court cases in the future.
Hell yes, it is.
You know,
of course it's going to come up.
Yeah, this is totally ridiculous, and it's so annoying because this is like the new line. Like Pakman just kind of regurgitates a lot of mainstream left talking points,
NPC talking points,
right? And the main one that they have now is like, oh, all this culture war stuff is a distraction. This is all just created by the Republicans. We should talk about real issues. And every time I hear that, it's like I get so fucking triggered because I'm like, fuck you, you scumbag. The left in this country has been pushing culture war issues with a vengeance for the last 6 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And now that the Republicans are pushing back on a legislative level, you're crying about it and saying, oh, they're just throwing red meat to their base. They're just doing culture war shit. Fuck you. You've been doing culture war shit this whole fucking time. You don't get to start the fight. And then now that the Republicans are fighting back, get to say, oh, you know, you're the ones that created this mess in the first place. You're the ones that are distracting from it.
Right.
Fuck you.
Now that you're getting your ass kicked in the parking lot, you can't go, oh, wait, you're being dishonest.
Yeah. This is classic woke iron law of woke projection.
Yeah.
Is what's happening.
I think that as a philosophical issue, but certainly as a legal issue too, the definition of a woman does matter, has mattered recently, and will matter soon. But I at least agree with you on the strategy. You have not convinced me of Judge Jackson's good faith confirmation hearing, but you have convinced me that she is a wise politician and that she is playing her hand the best that she can. Before I let you go, David, I know we're like way over. I am really not playing.
He says they're like, did they only agree to talk for like 5 minutes? Like, what the fuck?
That's all David can handle. Listen, and he got his ass handed to him in 5 minutes too.
What was it?
He doesn't want another Destiny. He doesn't want another Destiny.
I guess they haven't even talked for 10 minutes, and he's like, "We're way over." Like, okay.
Yeah. David's just,
the game.
Is Zero. Like, I don't even know if he reached out to us and wanted to talk. I don't even know if we'd talk to him. He's just fucking.
He never. I would talk to Pakman easily, but he never would.
It would be pointless. He would Ben Burgess us for fucking 2 hours. He wouldn't answer anything. He wouldn't actually have an honest dialogue, and then he would accuse us of being bad faith.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you're not answering any of our questions, but we're the bad faith ones. I'd lose my mind. I would fucking yell at him.
He wouldn't Ben Burgess us / distributus / Kurt us, where he talks for like 10 minutes about unrelated shit. But he would come into the conversation like, you guys are bad faith. I'm going to engage with you as if I'm engaging with some enemy across a trench line. And I'm not going to like talk to you or agree to anything that you're framing in any way whatsoever.
Right.
So yeah, the conversation would be completely unproductive. But.
Yeah. And therefore useless. But might be entertaining if Sitch gets triggered and yells. Or brings out some devastating CRT quotes.
I'm gonna start singing the national anthem in the middle of our conversation.
Oh yeah.
Berating David for why he doesn't like.
That's the ultimate
America.
Dishonesty. Right there. He would accuse you of dishonesty.
Yes.
How could he? I mean, he's a fucking immigrant, for heaven's sakes. You chose to come here.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I believe he's from Argentina, isn't he?
Oh, that's right. I always forget that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was from there or. Oh yeah, you're right. Argentinian born American.
You picked us.
There you go.
What's up, right?
Well, to be fair, he says he immigrated here when he was 5. So.
Oh wow.
I don't know what.
Very. At least he had intelligent parents.
Of
That's
giving
true.
you some impossible.
Come on, we're almost done with this shit.
Okay.
CT, you got to edit all that garbage out. Don't edit this out, though. Don't edit me complaining about the garbage. Just edit the garbage out, but make it real obvious so people will always wonder what the garbage was.
CT, whenever Adam speaks, can you edit that out? Because it's just stupid and not worth hearing. Thank you.
What? What? Hold on a second. I was reading the chat. What was said? Guys, what just happened here? I feel like I feel like the bad faith Sitch might have just stepped onto the screen.
Nobody tell him what I just said, okay?
Okay.
Possible thing to define. But since the question of woman is up in the air, everyone's arguing over what it means these days. Do you have
Oh no.
either you yourself or you speaking for the progressives, do you have a working definition that you would use?
No, I don't do, like I told Jesse Lee Peterson, and there's so many, this interview is feeling a lot like that one, interestingly enough. I don't do dictionary, I do politics. And so, no, I don't spend time defining words. And
check out the
my
big
God.
brain on fucking Pakman here. The fucking galaxy. This is way, woman, man, come on. I do politics. I'm the smart one here.
Yes.
How can you separate the definition of man and woman from politics right now? This guy looks like a moron.
I got to hear that answer again. It was so dumb that my brain momentarily shut itself off.
Do you have, either you yourself or you speaking for the progressives, do you have a working definition that you would use?
No, I don't do, like I told Jesse Lee Peterson, and there's so many, this interview is feeling a lot like that one, interestingly enough. I don't do dictionary, I do politics. And so, no, I don't spend time defining words. And here's in all seriousness.
What a fucking dumb fuck. I cannot honestly fathom if David Pakman is so fucking stupid that he understood how dumb what he said is, or he's just acting in such bad faith that he's created some weird rhetoric he thinks sounds smart. Okay. What is Sitch's #1 law?
Yeah. Sitch's
the
law.
majority of debates
are over
whether
definitions.
You fucking know it or not, are debates about how to define words.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sitch's law, #1, right at the fuck top of the
Yep.
Sitch Constitution, the Sitch Bill of Rights.
Yep. Oh my God.
Majority debates are really debates about definitions, whether you know it or not. And for him to say, I don't do definitions, I do politics, is so bafflingly fucking stupid. Every political conversation is a conversation about fucking definitions. How you define the way our fucking country should be run. What is good? What is bad? What is equity? What is fucking equality? What is a man or a woman? Where does life begin and how do you define that?
Yeah, totally.
This is an insanely stupid thing to say.
I swear.
Is CRT anti-liberal?
I swear he has a like an hour video over the definition of communism or socialism.
Yeah, I thought you're right.
What is he talking about?
I forgot about that.
What is he talking? Every single debate begins with define your fucking terms.
Yes.
Yeah. This
Exactly.
is so stupid.
Exactly.
You can't even have conversation without definitions.
Yes, because so many conversations, so many debates are people using different definitions and they don't realize it. Are people using different definitions and they don't realize it, and so they just speak past each other for a lot of the debate.
I try to avoid Sitch's law in debates as much as possible. I just say, listen, I will accept whatever definition of whatever word you want to use. Just tell me so I can get to the meat of the argument. I want the substance here.
Yes.
I don't want to argue with you for 5 hours over the definition of a woman. Okay, there's 2 definitions now. I'm familiar with both of them. Tell me which one you're using, and let's talk about some substance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I assume David is smart enough to understand like this incredibly basic aspect of conversing with people. And I think that this is entirely a bad faith rhetorical strategy because he doesn't want to get sucked into this transgender conversation.
Of course not. Yeah. It's funny that this is just so fascinating to me, Sitch, because this gender ideology is the religion of the Progressive Party. And David Pakman has a 1.44 million subscriber channel that expects him to indoctrinate himself to that religion or get the fuck off the internet. And that's just a weird position to be in. I mean, I got to admit, it's hilarious for me because watching himself twist himself into pretzels over just the most vanilla of questions by a totally fucking nice vanilla conservative.
I mean, has David never read a fucking piece of legislation? Like almost every piece of legislation has definitions in it.
Of course,
because they have
to.
What the fuck you're talking? Like the whole. I can almost guarantee you. I can almost guarantee you that there's a video of David Pakman complaining about the DeSantis Don't Say Gay bill because he's saying it's too vague and doesn't define its terms properly.
There is some.
I can almost guarantee you that video exists.
There is some really weird, some weird stuff on Pakman's channel. We're gonna have to do a deep dive into Pakman's channel here. Breaking: a transphobe has unsubscribed from my channel.
Oh no! Oh no!
Well, I that might be a good place to look, right? He's actively calling people transphobes. I mean, if you're calling people transphobes, you gotta get on your knees and do the chant. You got to recite the incantation, otherwise you're in big trouble.
Say the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's now talk philosophically. Really, we're talking, man to man now.
Man to man, interesting. How are you defining those terms, David? Because I am curious. When you say when you say man to man, I mean, I have questions.
Dictionaries are descriptive, not proscriptive. So
they're prescriptive sometimes too. But they can be descriptive. They can be they are descriptive and prescriptive as well, right? The word means this.
By definition, humans decide what to put in the dictionary, right? So they're just these are descriptive.
But they put it there because the words mean something.
At the time, believe.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we could go down a tangent on prescriptivism versus descriptivism, and that might be good for a future appearance.
I don't know if it's a tangent, but
it would be a very good discussion, and I think it would be great to have you back. I truly appreciate your coming on and giving the progressive perspective on this, and I hope to have you back on the show. Where can people find you in the meantime?
He's like, David is so demoralized because he's not buying any of his bullshit. Even on the I can't believe David Pakman now is saying that stupid meme that Destiny started about the difference between descriptive and... If I hear that one more time.
Well, in regards to what? It depends what you're talking about.
People bring it up all the time, and it's completely irrelevant. And it's completely irrelevant. Yes. Why are we talking about the difference between proscriptive and descriptive when we're talking about defining words? And it's beautiful that he pushed back on him. And he's like...
Well, it's funny because, like, generally, under the, liberalism, individual rights conception of words should just be purely descriptive. But under the Marxian critical theory view, words should be prescriptive.
Yes.
That they should shape words in very specific ways in order to affect very specific outcomes. So
word choice can drastically change reality.
Yes.
So I mean, and that is a moral,
right? But we're not talking about word choice.
Take into consideration.
We're not talking about word choice, though. We're talking about how words are defined before you get to word choice.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And that should be a purely descriptive process.
Sure.
I went back because I want you to. I want to point something out. This is very funny to me.
Okay.
It would be great to have you back. I truly appreciate your coming on and giving the progressive perspective on this.
So he's like, I appreciate you coming on to give, and he realized that Dave gave him nothing. He's like, I appreciate you coming on to give and he just like blanked because he realized that in the 10 minutes, David said nothing of value. So he stopped because he didn't know what to say. And he's like, oh, he was supposed to give the progressive take. There you go. I'll use that word, progressive take.
You think that? I
think that's what happened.
I feel like he was signaling, and obviously we're speculating here. Neither one of us can read Michael Knowles' mind. But I feel like he was basically saying that David Pakman sounded like an insane buffoon, and that is the progressive perspective. I feel like it was.
Well, no, see, I don't agree, because if that was the case, he would have said, thank you for coming on.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show, and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips. little,
Well, I'm not the one that has to cut it out, so I don't care if I make extra work.
You're just a little teeny duckling.
I'm trying to do what's best for our audience, not what's best for CT. Okay.
Well, I'm trying to do what's best for our audience too, and I just feel like, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if it's cut out, but does CT cut this stuff out? I don't know that she does, and I don't.
CT, do you cut this stuff out?
I don't think she does. I think she just.
He said in all caps. Yeah, I know.
Well, CT, if you cut this stuff out, props to you. But one day we'll get Sitch on the same page here. So